Need not be tested on primates. They need not be tested on guinea pigs, but they can be tested on the organs printed. See the beauty of it. So that opens up a lot of, humane approach to testing. There is a 3D bioplotter. This I saw in 2013 in Germany. Mold, tool mold, the Euro mold. The manufacturer said, well, we have made the mission. We don't give you bio ink. We cannot do anything else. I can only certify the mission. If you want, you can take it. So there are a lot of issues with biomaterials getting printed. They should not have any bacterial, microbial, or virus. The conditions which are not good to get into somebody's body, right? So there are issues which are being worked out all over the world. So one day it will get sorted, as always. You can see here how medical imaging, which started its journey in 1950s, they had a protocol called DICOM. And today, this has come as a boon, because this sliced data can be rebuilt. You can make a model out of it. You can see how a titanium cranial implant could be made from the photographs, which are a series of photographs. And post-surgery, you can see how it is evolving itself. It is also helping people, pediatricians, to identify intraoperative decision making, a new term, intraoperative decision making. Whether if you can either save, or you can take and say, sorry, I tried my best. It is helping them in thanks to, again, 3D printing, which is so life-giving. This is it. When we talk of 3D printing, 4D is already there. 4D printing is about a material which is a shape memory alloy, which will change its shape, after printed in a particular shape. So it has a lot of future in outer space explorations, also inside the body. Like someone said in the morning, microscopic and telescopic, both are applicable here also. Today at Imaginarium, which is, according to me, has a complete array of these facilities, is going up to the third level. We can make models, the guides and fixtures, and implants, waiting forward to do the tissues. Of course, technology only has to help us move forward there. We are watching the space. Today we have different technologies. There is no one technology which will be solving your problems. So it's an array of things which will actually help. What used to start as a mock-up making or prototype, people used to call it as RP, rapid prototyping. A misnomer, because neither it was rapid, nor it was only used for prototyping. Today, people expect a functional prototype. Prototypes which will actually go. Many medical devices we make which are for end use, not for one-off for testing, So that's how it is all moving. Making sense and making sensation is also very important. Okay, we went to a fashion show, and at Kuala Lumpur, first Asian 3D print fashion show happened, and I designed this peacock headgear, and it was very nice to see a national bird on the ramp. We also made the Black Lady, the Filmfare Trophy, which is a very unique edition of 59th Filmfare Trophy, which had a blooming lotus. You can see in the photograph there, the earlier version has a bud. This has a blooming lotus. So 3D printing is all about making sense and sensation. And I think that's what I wanted to make. It's a different type of talk, and a leadership in terms of technology, if taken care, can do a lot of good. And it is very important to know its value proposition. It is not a remedy for everything, but we have to deploy it accordingly, knowing its benefits. Thank you very much.
Very good afternoon to all the attendees of this event. At the outset, I wish to thank Madras Management Association and past President Mr. Balraman for giving me this opportunity. It's a topic which endears very well with what we do in our company, in our business. So I'm going to make a short presentation, and because of the paucity of time, I'll try to condense my presentation as much as possible. You can have different definitions for ownership and accountability. I will take contextually what is relevant for my business. To be accountable is to be liable. And to account, when you are called to account, you have to explain. You should be answerable. You need to be answerable to your customers, your clients, your regulators, and the various stakeholders. And ownership, to my mind, is a set of management beliefs and acting on those beliefs to create value for your customers and the marketplace. This is a quote from Stephen Covey. When you are managing the finance of investing public, their financial transactions, their financial records, it calls for a huge amount of accountability as well as ownership in conducting your business. So I'm going to present to you CAMS. It's Computer Age Management Services Private Limited, a first generation company which started 28 years ago in this month, in this city, and it is born and bred out here. And I'm very proud that we have come to where we are today. And in the short presentation, I'll explain what we do. The financial services and the product category is a very complex category. To succeed in a mass market financial products, you need to be able to understand the financial needs of the investing population. You need to find right products and solutions to cater to their needs. And once you have identified those products and services, you need to communicate the benefits. You need to acquire the custom of the investors. Having acquired the custom of the investors, you need to serve them very well. You need to deliver the benefits that were promised. You need to achieve service excellence through innovations and consistent services at all times. And it has been seen in the Indian market where the financial services is still a high growth category and it's a relatively recently evolved industry. You see that most of the successful brands or successful financial entities, they have two combinations. One is they have huge amount of resources in the form of deep pockets, and they also have brand power. Many of the successful financial entities have the power of their brand, which is typically a household name. Our company, Computer Age Management Services, as I said, is a first generation company started in Chennai, which neither had the deep pockets nor had the brand power. However, the business model that has been set up and the potential of this business model over a period of time attracted the attention of very prominent financial sector players in this country who are now part of our shareholders. Unlike the banking and insurance products, which are generationally handed down from forefathers to all of us, our generation and the younger generation, an open-ended mutual fund is a current generation product. It's about 20 years old, 20 plus years old in India. Now, the beauty of the open-ended mutual fund product is you can come in and go out at any point in time, it's your wish. And in this particular category, which is highly regulated, the industry in the last 20 odd years has evolved as a extremely well-regulated and a transparent industry. The industry has acquired a custom base of about 4.6 crore active accounts at this point in time. And during this journey, they have gone from 0 to 13 lakh crores of Indian rupees as the size of this industry. And in this industry, we service 8 lakh crores of investors' assets. We service almost 4 crores of investor accounts in our company. And we are called Registrar and Transfer Agent by SEBI under their regulations. But we see ourselves differently and we call ourselves Service Solutions Partner to the mutual fund industry. The mutual fund is nothing but a pool of investment which is brought in by different investors. And the mutual fund has got an asset manager under the regulations. Therefore, the asset manager and the mutual fund are somewhat synonymous and loosely called one and the same. The business of the asset management is to devise new schemes and products, sell the products to the various investors, potential investors, develop the intermediary channels, and manage the funds in order to generate the returns. And the company like CAMS is actually a partner to the mutual fund in this journey, and CAMS takes care of the entire life cycle services of the investors. From the time an investor comes to open a mutual fund account, invests money in the mutual funds, or submits any account maintenance kind of services, all of those operations are carried out by CAMS on a pan-India basis. There is a huge amount of risk involved, obviously, in financial transaction processing. There is a degree of compliance which is required in order to comply with various applicable regulations, and all these areas are managed by CAMS. As a company, our vision is to provide technology-based, value-added financial infrastructure services. When you provide infrastructure services, the only way you can grow is to deliver exceptional value to all the stakeholders who use the financial infrastructure, which means that your mission is basically to grow the assets under the management, assets of the clients, as well as assets of the investors. Now, this requires a huge amount of value orientation by the entire organization in order to build a sustainable business. As mentioned by one of the earlier speakers, it's actually a reverse organization in our case, because the investors that we service are actually mostly serviced by our employees pan-India and our employees at our back offices who are directly interacting either over a telephone or an email or across the counter. Actually, the CEO is far behind from that. CEO only gets an escalation if there is a problem or if a particular investor is dissatisfied. So therefore, the biggest value for us is putting the customer's interest first at all times. And we believe in partnerships, and partnership is something very, very important. Earlier, I showed a descriptor that we call ourselves service solutions partner. In partnership, what we do is we identify service solutions which are beyond our current capabilities and resources. An example I will give you. Several years ago, when Indian government implemented prevention of money laundering, and Indian government was a signatory to what is known as the Financial Action Task Force in the year 2007-8. What we had done was, in relation to the offering of various companies, international companies, we actually developed our own homegrown solutions for the Indian mutual fund industry, and these have been accepted and adopted by the Indian mutual fund industry and the FIU, which is the apex body of India to monitor the PMLA in the country. They're very happy with the kind of services that we provide. Being responsible for the investors' finances and financial accounts, obviously data integrity, responsibility, reliability, and accountability are very, very important and core values in our business. I want to emphasize a little bit in terms of where does this ownership and accountability come into the business, and why I say that these two are founding pillars to build a sustainable business, especially in today's VUCA world. If you look at the mutual fund or the asset management company, what are they expecting? They want every single mutual fund transaction, and there are millions of transactions which are being processed every week. And they want every single transaction, which is really a legal contract, to be compliant with the offer document terms and conditions, to be compliant with the SEBI regulations, to be compliant with the RBI and income tax regulations. We have a huge responsibility in terms of ensuring this entire compliance. We have responsibility in managing the risks associated with the financial transactions. And at the same time, we need to meet their latent needs in terms of tomorrow's changing marketplace, and how do we leverage technology in order to provide appropriate market solutions for the tomorrow's market needs. And most important, our business cannot stop. It's a 365-day business, 24/7, because investors somewhere or the other is accessing our service. He may be pulling a statement, he may be putting in a financial transaction. And each manufacturer who is operating a particular mutual fund is offering his own brand promise to his customers. So therefore, there is an expectation that the brand promise is delivered through the services that we provide to the ultimate investors. As far as the investors are concerned, some of you are, I'm sure, investors in the mutual funds. You would expect on-time service, you would expect consistent processing, you would expect accuracy in your processing, and you would expect your records to be kept very, very safe. And you want your money to be safe when you want to access. And you need the peace of mind that here is a company which is able to give me the service in a transparent and a predictable kind of a manner. That brings in a huge amount of responsibility of ownership and accountability in our business. It's the same with the intermediaries who distribute the mutual fund products. Collectively, this industry earns almost 5,000 crores of commission. We are responsible for that commission, and we have to ensure that there is a huge amount of accuracy and predictability in terms of the way we administer this commission. We are also responsible, and we provide a number of technology solutions, including platforms for these distributors, with twin objectives of grow your customer base and grow the assets under management. Lastly, the regulators. We are a highly regulated company, and we are a transparent company. Everything that we do, the regulator has a ability to oversee, and there are regulatory audits which are continuously done. Regulators' primary responsibility is investor interest must be protected at all times, and we are responsible for that. And we need to have a business model which is sustainable and continuing, because open-ended mutual funds can perpetually be run for generations, for decades. So therefore, what we have done is we inculcated this ownership and accountability in all the business resources, the key business resources that we have. Our business resources fall into 4 categories. It's a technology platform, both in terms of application technology and the technology infrastructure that we use. And we have processes, we have controls, and ultimately the most important, we have the human resources. And these values are inculcated in all the human resources who serve the mutual fund investors on a pan-India basis. Over a period of time, we realized that the only way the mutual fund industry can grow in relation to the fixed deposits and other avenues of investment is to deliver consistent and predictable outcomes, number one, and a consistently superior experience to the mutual fund investor in order to build his trust and confidence in the industry. And that's the only way for this category's growth. So therefore, a lot of investment we have made over the last 2 decades have gone into this particular area. These are the various mutual funds that we service at this point in time. And over a period of time, the business model has completely transformed. There used to be a time where most of the mutual fund transactions used to be paper driven. Therefore, the physical branch network was very important for us to receive the transactions and process. Today, we have a lot of avenues for the investors to access through web, through call centers, through SMS-based messaging, as well as the mobile applications. We also have a suite of applications which are used by some of the biggest banks distributing the mutual funds, including the foreign banks like Citibank or HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, etc. We also provide a lot of applications and technology support to the distributors. And our business, as I mentioned, is 24/7, 365 days a year. Our services to the investors are on demand available at 0 cost. For example, if you went to a branch of CAMS, you can actually seek your account statement right from the time that you opened. And you might have opened the mutual fund account in the year 2000. You cannot get that kind of a service even from your own bank branch today. That is the kind of availability of service that we have and that we provide. There are a number of innovations that we have done. I do not want to go through in detail because of the paucity of time. But sufficient to say that over a period of time, the investors have ability to self-manage their investments. They can look at the returns that they are generating from the investments. They can look at their exposure to different asset classes. They can look at the exposure to different asset managers, and they can actually review the investment performance over a period of time. And this is giving enormous amount of trust and confidence to the growing population of the mutual fund investors. I want to talk about one particular innovation that we have done. Many of the mutual fund investors access the professional fund management skills of the fund manager to access the equity asset class, because equity is the one which generates inflation beating returns over a long period of time. And there are many funds which are serviced by us which have grown in the last 20 years from 1 to 55 times. A 10 rupee face value of the net asset value of the scheme has grown to 550 rupees. That's 55 times your wealth has grown. Now, the asset managers found that the best way to manage the equity investments is making a monthly small contributions and over a period of time what is called the systematic investment transactions. 10 years ago, as a company, we had 1 lakh transactions, 1 lakh accounts, and the people used to give post-dated checks, and it was an enormous task to verify the signature of the investor, date of the check, and the scheme name, so on and so forth. And it was a very painful process of collection. Average ticket size used to be 1,000 rupees per check. And it was enormously expensive for the asset management companies because collecting 1,000 rupees from remote parts of the country was very, very tedious job. So over a period of time, we actually leveraged our technology capabilities and the banking regulations that are available. And we worked with the counterparties like various banks and the service providers. And we have implemented mandated investments as a process. So today, as an investor, you can give a one-time mandate to your bank. You can give a standing instruction. You can give an electronic debit instruction. Or you can give a NACH. Or you can give a one-time mandate subject to a limit, based on which we will be in a position to electronically, seamlessly carry out the debit in the investor accounts and collect the money for the mutual fund. And the industry has grown seamlessly over a period of time. In the last 10 years, we are at 63 lakhs from 1 lakh. 63 times we have grown. And the growth is counting because every month we are adding more and more accounts. And over a period of time, there are many innovations that have come into this category in the form of step-up SIPs, flexible investments, goal-oriented investments, and even the investments with a linkage to the insurance benefits. I mentioned earlier that our business is to provide the investor services, and it's a technology-based service that we provide. And the regulators had permitted certain service standards in this country, and we have gone way beyond these regulatory standards. The T+1 that we do as a payout in our country is actually not practiced by many of the Western countries even today. So therefore, over a period of time, the kind of services that we deliver, they are actually comparable to the best of the services available in the Western world, which are far more mature mutual fund markets. And irrespective of the number of transactions that we receive, we actually do our processing exactly in 15 hours, 3 p.m. to 6 a.m. And our company is working round the clock. This is the vastness of the kind of activity that we have as a company. We process about 11 crore financial transactions in a year, adding up to 133 lakh crores of rupees. There are several corporates who actually park money in the mutual funds on a Friday afternoon with the explicit instruction that they want the money back on Monday morning. And they trust that CAMS is available there, CAMS is there to process the transactions accurately and get their money back into their accounts in time. And that's very important to deliver on a consistent basis. And these are some of the metrics that we have. And we take in processing all these transactions and the investor accounts complete accountability. No investor wants his personal data, sensitive personal data and information to be revealed to anybody. So therefore, data confidentiality is something very, very important. At the same time, data integrity is very important because if you come back after 10 years and want to look at your investment should be securely available for you. A minor's investment must be secured and the benefit of the minor's investment should go to the minor when it becomes a major. So, and similarly, if a family had an unfortunate event of death of an investor, the transmission has got to be done in a legally compliant manner. These are some of the services that we provide, and we have all the qualifications to provide this in terms of the certifications, in terms of ISO and SOC compliance and so on and so forth. And we do not do anything which is conflicting with any of our clients or the intermediaries. We don't sell, we don't distribute, we don't advise. We are purely here for servicing the mutual fund investors. I mentioned earlier about the regulatory compliance that's so important and complex in this particular business. And in addition, we also provide a taxation support to the entire mutual fund industry. There's a lot of applicability of income tax on the dividend distribution, NRI investments. There is service tax applicable on the commissions that are paid to the distributors and so on and so forth. So we are a highly audited and highly sort of company with a lot of oversight. Our clients audit us, we have self-initiated audits, we have systems audit carried out, and we have marquee clients from the international markets like BlackRock or JP Morgan Chase or Sun Life. And all these companies have some of the global practices and they want to audit the Indian company and the Indian service provider whether we are compliant with the global standards of information security, privacy policies, and so on and so forth. And we go through all these audits successfully. And over a period of time, the business has become very mature. One important thing in our business is available at all times. It cannot be shut. And the business continuity is something very, very important. And this is something that we have accomplished by huge investment in the technology, infrastructure, and the employee orientation, and the DRBCP as a vast management practice. Chennai has gone through a very painful time during the earlier period of December 2015, and I want to share our experience during that period with you. During 1st to 4th, heavy rain, Chennai was declared a disaster zone. Many of the essential services were stopped. Airports were shut, there was no electricity. Many of the banks were not in a position to even print and give us the instruments to dispatch to the investors. Couriers had completely shut shop. Even the telecom providers could not access even their NOCs, the network operating centers. And as a result of which there was a huge impact on the entire business. But during this entire period, we managed to operate every single day, pan-India basis, and we ensured that our investments that have gone into the disaster recovery and business continuity have stood the test of these Chennai floods, and we were able to continue our business operations. So what was the resultant of this? During 1st December to 5th December, every single investor transaction was processed on time. Every single request for a new account was processed on time and turned back the very next day. Every single day, our clients published the NAV. And every single redemption that the investor wanted was actually paid on time. And we complied with the regulatory reporting. And this has happened not so much because the investment that we have made in the technology and the redundancy that we have built in our infrastructure and the connectivity, but I would say it is basically the entire accountability and the ownership of our employees. There were 300 plus employees who were actually staying in our office continuously for 3 days, and they did not go back to their families. They were staying at company's expense, of course, at the hotels nearby. Fortunately, we were on the Mount Road and we were not affected, and we were able to continue our business process. I just want to relate to, in the year 2005, Bombay had a similar kind of a rain on the 26th of July. As a result of that, actually the stock markets were closed the next day. and even the banks declared holidays. And in Chennai city, despite the kind of impact that we have had, we are proud that we were able to operate, and we are proud to be part of Chennai. We are proud to be part of MMA, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I know that there are many of you who would be possibly mutual fund investors, and I want to assure you, CAMS is here to serve you, and our mission is your growth. Thank you.
So, gentlemen and ladies, you heard a fine exposition of top quality leadership from three eminent leaders here. Mr. Raman talked in terms of the AHA. The teachable point of view was really speed. Speed as a driver, speed as a competitive advantage. You heard from Mr. Guru Prasad, leadership in driving technology towards the future, using technology as a driver to build leadership towards the future. And last but not the least, you heard from Mr. Prasad on how they have built CAMS based on reliability, building on the trust and confidence that the customers repose on them, and how they could handle adversities and still deliver at all times. So three fine presentations by three outstanding leaders. So can I request you all to give them all a big hand, please? Each has got a teachable point of view. And now I'm going to open to the audience. You can ask questions to we will have probably about 5 minutes, maybe about 3 to 5 questions for the speakers, please. Please go ahead.
This question is to Mr. Guru Prasad. Basically, I'm from the healthcare industry, and we do specialization into 3D movies. You spoke about 3D printing of organs, how the future, you can create a prototype and how the drugs can act. My question is, a drug requires a biological medium to show its therapeutic action. How will a 3D printing of a prototype organ help in this testing? Because it's working on a non-biological medium. So how do you can say a drug will act on a prototype and give the results of that?
Okay, very interesting question, thanks. In fact, drugs are, there are two things which are happening parallelly. These are all things of past, future, not. One is drug delivery in a different mechanisms of drug delivery itself is taking a new path. Drugs are getting printed, which are custom drugs. Okay. Normally we have generic drugs which will go. You don't have a custom drug. Now tomorrow people can actually have a custom drug made for them, which will have magazines of chemicals available, enzymes available, which can be printed as demanded or dosage required for the patient. That's one. Two, the organ printing which will be done, typically the idea is to have a scaffold. On the scaffold, like a petri dish, you can have a cell growing, right? So same way, on a scaffold, you can grow the stem cells, okay? And you can inject the drug and see the reaction, how it is responding to it, okay? This is going to have a closer idea of the mechanism, how drug works. So I think it can bring a lot of change it is a whole gambit of new area to explore. And I don't say I'm very competent here sitting to talk about that, because it is all in the world's biggest labs, what is going on right now. They are testing, as we are talking now, on a scaffold. They are trying to print something, because people are even thinking of biodegradable, biodigestible, various scaffolds, which will go into the body and they become part of your body. It will be absorbed. So right now, I don't think anybody has done, there is a talk of pancreas being printed, kidney being printed, so many things. But many people, doctors come in, clinicians walk in and say, can you print an organ? I'll say, sorry, we are not ready. So there is a lot of myth surrounding this, But as you're seeing this in newspapers, in media, Well, somebody is working on it. I'm sure one day you will have all this. And the beauty is, it can actually have custom drugs delivered. Is a certainty. It is going to happen, definitely. Hope I have answered your question.
My name is Prasanna. I was affected by floods. Many of my documents are handled by CAMS. Still, I ran a seminar on December 12th on Green India. Thanks to Vijay Kumar's support, he said we should run it. You should give him a big hand. But I imagine that I will not suffer because I have the backing of CAMS for many of the documents which are washed away. Am I right?
Sir, we would reach out to you to understand the specifics because I could not entirely follow your query. And what I can assure you is that in the mutual fund space, you are not holding any document which is really required to access your investments because everything is electronic and everything is electronically traceable. So we will reach out to you to resolve the issue that you have. Yeah, as far as your past transactions are concerned, the entire history would be safe and secure in our records, and we will be in a position to demonstrate to you all your transactions that you have done. Thank you.
Check. Hi everyone, I'm Pranish from Cognizant. I'm part of the Banking Finance Services Talent Management team. My question is to Mr. Arun Raman. So you touched upon the VUCA. So I mean, all these things, though people seem to use it as a fancy word, there is definitely a lot of difference between all the four issues, right? So my doubt is with respect to uncertainty and ambiguity. So both these sound very similar. So my question is, how do we identify these two? So are there any symptoms that we can find it out? Because if in case it's wrongly identified, the leader might lead the team in a wrong way, right? How do we differentiate that? And if you can please explain with an example, real-time scenario.
Yeah, so it's the purpose of leadership to do what I would call a kind of an environment check, right? Not everything in the environment will affect your company.